You know, a lot of people out there absolutely agree that HOAs are the worst. And today we're going to take another look in part 2 of our 3-part series. Why? Why do Americans hate HOAs so much? We're going to look at a story that illustrates that exact point, and I'm interested, what are your thoughts? Have you ever dealt with an HOA that was absolutely ridiculous? And why is it so common? Why can't they just take care of the property and help people keep things in great condition? Why does it seem like so many of these HOAs are completely predatory? And hey, if you like watching these with me, do me a favor, go ahead and like and subscribe so I can get the word out to more people about the content we create every single week. All right, let's take a look. This is an ABC News story that really just reinforces my opinion that HOAs don't have a lot of value.
Literally drove us out of here.
Families say they were forced to move from their North County homes or live in fear of retaliation from their Homeowners Association.
Our investigator Adam Recruzen spoke with 2 of the families who say anonymous neighbors constantly complained about their kids.
Yeah, and the complaints were where they were playing and just how loud these kids were. We all know that...
Wait a minute. Is not familial status a protected status here in the United States? Would it not be against the law for people to complain about having families and kids living in there? Now, obviously, what's the one exception out there for a lot of people? Are you in a designated 55 and older community? Obviously, in this one, that's not the case. But could you imagine this? Your kids are too loud and your homeowners association starts coming after you about it. To me, this is ridiculous. Let's see what happened.
Kids make noise, but instead of just asking the kids to keep it down, these families say that they received warning letters. Tucked away east of the 5 freeway in Carlsbad, a quiet private community with about 100 townhomes.
We moved here because there's a park near the complex and there's great schools.
Amy Lass says she and her...
So a park and great schools, but they don't want the kids to make a peep. If you've ever had young kids, you know that's pretty much an impossibility. They love to make noise. And quite honestly, what kind of Grinch are you when that angers you as the association member or president? I mean, it's a little messed up.
Her husband liked it so much, when they had kids, they bought a bigger unit in the complex just so they could stay. That safe and seemingly family-friendly environment also inspired Melissa and Nate Spear to rent in that community.
It's such a family community and neighborhood that this area you feel like would be the same thing.
But both families say that family-friendly appearance was just that, an appearance. In reality, they say some neighbors and the HOA turned their lives into a nightmare.
If you didn't have kids, you could kind of do what you wanted. But if you had kids, it was like they were after you.
I was sad. I was upset. I remember coming to my husband and just crying and saying, I can't do this anymore. This is affecting my children.
They claim they were repeatedly warned their children were not allowed to play in the common areas of the property. If things got too loud, they'd get written warning notices.
So their children aren't allowed to play outside. First off, how would you guys feel as you watch this? Because I know a lot of you feel the exact same way I do about this. How would you feel getting a warning letter from the noise of what appears in this video to be what, 7 to 10-year-old kids playing outside? This to me is an amazing situation, and the Karens that are running this association seem completely out of whack. Let's kind of see what happened.
The kids were interfering with the quiet enjoyment of their neighbors. If the noise didn't stop, there would be fines.
The letter indicated you had to cure the problem, which I anticipate meant getting rid of our children, or we would be fined.
In one example, Nate and Melissa say they had a group of kids over to watch the Women's World Cup. When Team USA scored a goal, the girls ran outside and cheered. Here's what he says happened next.
So then they come back in, probably not 2 minutes later, all scared to death because the neighbors had screamed obscenities at them.
A day later...
So the neighbors are upset about the noise, but screaming obscenities at the kids. I don't even honestly know how to address this one. This is just ridiculous.
Tells me they got a letter saying their children were not allowed to make excessive noise in the common areas. That's just one example.
So just curious, how do we determine what excessive noise is? Or does it seem like this HOA board was going to dictate whatever they felt at the moment was excessive noise? Is there somebody out there with a decibel meter that's created a standard and measuring the noise of the kids? Or is this based on their feelings of annoyance with children in the moment? And again, I go back to how are we not protected in familial status, which is definitely one of the protected classes specifically for real estate.
Both families say they tried to take their concerns to the board, but no one would listen. So they moved out and filed this lawsuit that describes years of being harassed about their kids playing outside in safe common areas, threatening letters, and ultimately fines.
Had the bylaws said that children couldn't play when I purchased the property, I wouldn't have purchased it.
Team 10 tried to contact members of the board to get their side, but the community is gated and there's no listed phone number for the board. We did reach the HOA management company, who said in a statement, "We take all resident complaints, including lawsuits, very seriously. Unfortunately, we cannot discuss details surrounding pending litigation."
Oh, gee, that doesn't seem like they're guilty at all.
So much what the bylaw says, but how you enforce the bylaws.
Craig Fagan is an attorney representing the families.
Fair Housing Act says communities cannot have rules that prohibit children from playing outside, just being children.
A lawsuit might sound extreme. Here's what both families say they're in.
I don't feel like that lawsuit sounds extreme. If people are literally discriminating against your children outside playing, what other recourse do we have except to file suit? Now, here's the problem. Thank goodness these people were affluent enough to be able to afford an attorney. Filing a lawsuit's not cheap. In many places, it's somewhere between $7,000 and $14,000 just to get started. Some of these lawsuits can drag out into hundreds of thousands of dollars in attorney fees. So I'm at least grateful they had some recourse to stop this complete injustice, and maybe they didn't. I'm not quite sure what the what the resolution was in this situation.
We just hope that in the future that the bylaws get changed and that kids can and families can have a great experience here.
And you heard from those two families, but there is actually a third family that is also joining in this lawsuit.
So a lot of us live in HOAs. There's a lot of new communities that have. But what do you do if you have a dispute with your HOA?
So actually, your nightmare here can be your best friend. I want to make sure that I don't get this wrong, but I spoke with an attorney who says the CC&Rs, bylaws, and rules and regulations that many new communities spell out, it should tell you exactly how to handle your HOA, because everything that you might not like that the board is doing, there might be rules and regulations around that as well. The relationship between the owner and your HOA board, it'll tell you what to do. You can also have some sort of alternative dispute resolution, such as mediation, to go along with this.
And a good reminder to read them.
Sounds like there's literally no resolution, but which will cost you a bunch of money.
Yes, you want to know, because the language can be very vague in some of these, so you really want to drill down on what the interpretation is. Everything is about the interpretation of what it says.
Okay, so there you have it. And I will tell you, from 25 years of selling real estate, very, very few people, even when provided with the copy of the bylaws, actually go through and read and understand the bylaws. I'm literally working on a property right now, and the bylaws are 86 pages of typed out rules. So what does that actually mean for you? Ultimately, a deep understanding of the bylaws can be something that helps. I would tell you another thing. If you don't want to deal with this ridiculousness, getting on the board is something that can absolutely help you. Becoming the president of the association will allow common sense to reign. The problem is, so often in my experience, the people that are the president of the association are people with nothing to do in their life. And so controlling their neighbors seems to be a fascination and a common theme that we see in a lot of these homeowners association situations. How do we really make sure that you don't run into this as a homeowner? I will tell you, step one, don't buy in a homeowners association neighborhood. It's the easiest and the best way to avoid this ridiculous stuff. Now, I know in certain places like South Florida, there are just so many, it's hard to avoid them. That being said, talk to some of the neighbors before you start to make that choice to make an offer on that home. See what their experience is like. See what they're dealing with the HOA. Getting a copy of those bylaws is another important thing. But in in the end, I would tell you this kind of stuff has to have more pushback. And thank goodness, because at least these lawsuits will oftentimes cost the associations so much money to defend themselves against. All the neighbors who sat silent will start to then take action and put an end to a lot of these ridiculous tactics that we've seen employed by the boards in these videos that we're watching. So I appreciate you guys watching, and let me also say this: if you're looking for a home here in West Michigan, reach out to me. I specialize in helping people avoid situations just like this, and more importantly, finding the right home for you and your situation as you're shopping here in West Michigan around the Grand Rapids area. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys on part 3 of our HOA series.